Good afternoon, Stuart. Just wondering about your reaction to the draw for the Champions Cup and the fact you've got Montpellier and Northampton as your two fixtures in the group.
Yeah, obviously it's a new format. So irrespective of who you draw, I think the important thing from any team's point of view, but Leinster's included, is you've got to set out to win all four really to give yourself the best possible chance. So we've played both teams recently over the last couple of years, certainly during my time here. Played Northampton a couple of times, 3 times, in different rounds, and Montpellier as well, not too long ago. Obviously Montpellier have changed coaching team, still got a formidable squad, and we know Northampton well. So no draw is easy, and we don't think ours is either. One of the challenges also, irrespective of the draw, is that the first game is the week after the final international game. So from a Leinster point of view, we'll have this group of 15 to 20 players coming back in from international rugby, and the next game that we play for Leinster is a European game. So that's very much on our minds as well. But no, we're excited about the format. As I say, there's not much room for error. And then if you get to the quarterfinals, that home and away 2-leg aggregate score will make a fascinating twist, I think, to the competition.
Given you've only had the one away game in such a prolonged period of time and everything around COVID-19, I know you're preparing to go to Glasgow this coming Monday. How did you find that experience of going to Italy and all the guidelines that you've had to adhere to in that away trip and the one you're looking forward to now?
Yeah, no, it was fine. I mean, funny enough, I think the boys actually quite enjoyed the change of scenery and getting out. The weather over there was great at the time, so it was enjoyable to spend some time together with the group, even just on the travel and when we got to the ground. In Treviso, they were allowed 1,000 spectators in, so that was a nice change as well to play in front of a crowd. And this upcoming game is different again because it's a Monday night game, 8:15 kickoff. So the working week is significantly changed. Today's been day 1, if you like, which is a Wednesday, Thursday day 2, Friday's day off, then Saturday, Sunday, which is normally game days, days 4 and 5, if you like. So it is different this week, that's for sure. But it'd be nice to get away. We know it's a tough place to go. We've been up there a couple of times now. We had a good win there last year. Previous year, we got well beaten. But playing on the Astro against Glasgow, it'll be fast and furious, I think, would be the phrase.
And Stuart, the final one for me, we saw the smile on Dan Leavy's face at the end of the game last weekend. As a coaching team, how pleased were you to see him come through the game? And as he said himself, his knee felt perfectly afterwards. I
mean, I thought it was amazing, really. For him, obviously the game was great. We played well, and there were so many positives from young players stepping in, getting their opportunity. Dan Sheehan, Liam Turner, etc., etc. But the overriding emotion for me at the end of the game was delight to see him back on the field, and credit to him, but also credit to the backroom staff. I mean, the backroom staff, who've worked so hard, the physios and conditioners, Carl Denver in particular, the joy in their faces to see him come through was amazing, really. So, yeah, we just want to back that up now with him. He has a good week this week. He gets another opportunity against Glasgow, and then we can build his minutes and his game time up. And, hopefully it won't be too long before he's forcing Andy Farrell to have a look at him as well.
Stuart, it must be very rewarding for you seeing some of your protégés putting on the green jersey.
Yeah, no, again, just having described Dan and seeing our young players play for Leinster, it was a very proud moment, really. Particularly because I guess some of the players that played are, I've coached them now for 4 years, and so to see Hugo, Ed Byrne, obviously, when he came on the field, Will Connors, spent a lot of time with him, and Jemison, Gibson Park, trying to build belief in him that he could be an international player, and to see him do that, take that opportunity and take it so well, was great. And I actually thought even the lads who have some international caps but only minimal, to see Caelan Doris play so well, I thought was great. Ross Byrne, when he came on, I thought looked very accomplished again. And then you've got your established players as well, like Johnny and Keane and these guys who I thought Ireland played well, and I thought I was chuffed for all of them. Chuffed for the coaching team, pleased for them, but also really pleased for the Leinster lads and in particular the young lads, as you say.
Would you normally have in the back of your mind the ones you think that will step up?
Yeah, you've got a reasonable idea. You sort of, I guess, through experience now, have been involved in player development. From 30 years old, running academies, and the lads who were in my academy at Leeds who went on to make professional contracts in international rugby. Your Danny Cares and your Jordan Cranes. So you get to see the signs, and then running that role for England. The head of elite player development, in charge of the academies, the international age grade teams. Again, you're coaching players who you think have the capacity to step up, and then I get the England job, and I pretty much pick a whole lot of young players, and our total caps at the start was like 220, I think, for the first game, 7 new caps for the Scotland game in 2012. So yeah, you do tend to see, when you've done it for, I guess, 20 years like I have, you tend to see the ones you think have got a fair chance. And but it's still a rocky road. It's still there's no guarantees for any of them. There's lots of good players fighting for shirts. There's injuries. There's opportunities. A bit of luck that needs to come their way. And obviously the philosophy of the coaching team that coaches the international team at that point. Yeah, it's not always in the players' control, but generally the cream rises to the top.
Is there one common quality?
There's a lot of qualities needed for sure, and I think if I could describe it in the three common qualities, if you like, physically they've got to have some form of not X factor, but they've got to have a physical point of difference. So like Hugo Keenan's would be, speed and speed endurance, athletically very, very good. Ryan Baird, athletically very good. They need technical and tactical ability. So again, if you're scoring out of 10, their game understanding, their ability to deliver skills under pressure would need to be high. But also, probably the most important factor that can't be ignored is their mental strength and their mental fortitude and their mental capacity to play in big pressurised games. Now, obviously, without the crowds there, it is slightly different, but it's still international rugby, and you've still got to back yourself, and you've still got to deliver in the moment. And the pressure this week going into the France game, you feel that stadium in Paris full of 80,000 French people who are passionately cheering their team, and that's ultimate pressure. But it's not far off. What's going to be delivered this week against a good French team. So. The ability to thrive in an international stage rather than just go in there and trying to survive is what differentiates the ones who are hoping they can do it and the ones who definitely can do it.
Great. Thanks, Stuart.
Okay.
Thanks, Stuart. Can I just jump back a bit to the European format? You said 4 from 4 is what you're aiming for. Do you think you kind of have to do that to remove the margin for error because it's so strange? You're up against teams you're not going to be playing against for those top positions.
Well, yeah, 4 from 4 gives you, obviously, it gives you a really good shot, but that's, you've got to go some to win 4 from 4. So I think there'll be, when you look at the draw, there are some teams you'd look at and go, well, I think they'll maybe win that game, but will they win the away game? They'll beat that opponent, will they beat that opponent? So I think bonus points, I think winning your home games, winning one away game as a minimum is going to be a prerequisite. If you want to come in the top 4 in your pool, to guarantee that quarter-final, then you're going to have to win in 3 from 4 for sure. Ideally 4 from 4, but even then, that doesn't guarantee your home quarter-final like it used to. It guarantees your home one, but then you've got to play an away one.
And given the fact that you only have that week, this must be a very important window for the guys that you may have to rely on a lot of those because of player management, because of the toll of the next 6 weeks for the internationals. That these guys who maybe are lesser sung or lesser experienced may come into their own in that European pool stage. Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be really tricky reintegration, really, for ourselves, because we'll have this group of players some of whom might have been starting for Ireland. Some of whom might have been on the bench for Ireland, maybe not played as much. Some of whom have been in the Ireland squad but not played at all. And then we've got this group of players where we've got this group of five or six Pro 14 games now. who, as you saw against Zebra, are hungry and want their opportunity. And meshing the two together to create a cohesive team when one group of players have been operating under a different calling system, slightly different style, to get them out of that on a Saturday's the final game. They come to us, Sunday's off, Monday, and then we're ultimately playing the following week in Europe. That's going to be it's the challenge that Leinster have, but it's the challenge that Leinster always have. So we're pretty good at managing that, but that's definitely in our minds. And yeah, you're right. We might have to rely on week one on some of the lads who've been playing in this window now, which is great for them, really.
And just finally for me, just to jump back onto Dan, you mentioned that hopefully he'll prove himself and prove himself is the wrong phrase, but hopefully he'll be able to get back into Andy's thoughts. Leo kind of said we've got to be patient with this guy. He's been out for a long time on Friday. What's a realistic timeline for him getting back to, say, European rugby, to getting into international squads? Are we looking like this next Autumn Nations Cup, or are we thinking Six Nations, or what? What's a fair amount of expectation to put on Dan's shoulders as he comes back?
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't put anything on Dan's shoulders really, but I would I'd echo Leo's thoughts that it's patience really, and a good block of games for Leinster to get him up and running. To go from benching to start, from starting, and playing for 60 to starting and playing for 80. And even then, he's got to find his form and his feel for the game again. And he's then got to play better than the lads who are currently playing for Ireland. And you could argue, when you look at the competition in the back row for Ireland, there's some very good players not getting picked on the bench, never mind. So, it's exciting for him. But realistically, I think there's an extended block for Leinster in the short term. But obviously, there's a huge number of international games, particularly Six Nations, obviously, to come post-Christmas.
Thank you.
Stuart, just wondering how impressed are you with two of the more senior members of the Leinster squad? Firstly, Devin Toner getting to his 250th cap for Leinster last weekend. And then, of course, Cian Healy getting his 100th cap for Ireland. When he was badly injured there at one stage and made a good comeback. Yeah.
No, I was thinking about this in the change room after the game. So we had 4 lads make their debut for Leinster. So like take Dan Sheehan or Liam Turner as an example. And I was thinking to myself, if they played 25 games for Leinster a season, which is realistic in the modern era, 25 games for Leinster in the next 12 months, they've got to do that for 10 years to reach what Devin Toner's achieved. I mean, I think that is phenomenal to achieve that in the modern professional game. 10 years playing 25 games a season for Leinster, as well as the international rugby that he played as well. So, credit to him. I mean, Dave Carney did 150 as well, which, again, probably went slightly unnoticed. And again, you talk about Cian. So I wasn't here, obviously, when he had his injury. But in my time, since I've been at Leinster, he's been so durable, so consistent. And, I used to look at the club I played at with awe at the players that played 100 times for club, and he's done it 100 times for his country. At prop. So, again, credit to him. He's so professional and diligent in his rehab and his looking after his body. And by all accounts, the injury was a really severe injury. So to come back in the way he has done, great for him and really, really proud of him, really.
And do you think, I know you kind of mentioned it there, do you think it's going to get more difficult for players to rack up sort of numbers like that, playing for their province and their country with the physicality of the game and, playing so much rugby?
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's part of that, but it's also part rotation as well. I mean, when I was a player, we pretty much played 30 games a year and you had 2 people on the bench. You didn't have squads of like 40, 45 like Leinster have now, and most professional teams have carry between 35 and 45 players. So even if even if you're fit, you might be rotated out and you might be rested and you might be given a break. And so I just think gone are the days where players are asked to play for the province 20 or 30 times a season. Squads are big for that reason. You need to rotate your squad. So, yeah, that's why it makes their achievements all the more amazing, really.